Hey,
Yeah,
how are you?
doing well. Going new, man. What's going on?
um, I did just get the new iPhone 6S. Is that it? Um,
Yep.
Man, that is a pain in the ass to buy a phone these days. Like, I can't believe I was in that Apple store, had a reservation. I cannot believe how many steps it requires now to buy a phone. And like, I had to enter my email address into like four different screens. Like it's crazy what's happened. I don't understand why this has become so complicated. Again, I'm surprised Apple would let it become so complicated.
I
Um,
remember when you bought, the first iPhone came out, it was very simple. You bought the phone, at the time you plugged it into your computer with a USB, into iTunes, and then you did the registration yourself. There was nothing to do.
yeah,
And I know I just got a success also, and I switched carriers. So I don't know how much I would attribute it to the switch of the carriers for my level of complexity, but it took like 40 minutes.
yeah. I didn't even switch carriers, and
Yeah.
it took me so long. I mean, it was like you have to like agree to like four different contracts. They are, you've got to like enter in your last four digits of your social security here, your full social security here, your birth date here. It was
Mhm.
like unbelievably insane, and like just I don't know, I don't understand. And like the environment you're doing it in now too is crazy. These Apple stores have gotten so busy. You're like surrounded by people. You're typing in codes that you're just like, why am I doing this in like public right now? It's a weird experience. It's gotten really crappy.
Yeah, I noticed something recently in the past maybe a year and a half. I don't like to go to Apple stores anymore, and I used to absolutely love to go to Apple stores. I I mean they're really they used to be they used to be great places to go. I used to really like to go and play with it, but now I feel like this is my they're doing well, so it's not like they're doing anything wrong. But when I go in now, I feel hounded. There's a couple things. I feel like I need to take a number, even just to look around. Like I walk in and someone's like, "What are you here for?" Almost, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just I'm just browsing, and they're like, "Okay, go over there." Like you browse over there. I just feel like it's traffic direction, and maybe that's just because they are so popular and they needed to do this. I don't know, but it's a very uncomfortable feeling to be in the stores now. I feel like I'm I can't browse comfortably anymore. It's like I feel like I have to leave. Like I feel like I'm made to leave if I don't have any clear purpose for being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Very weird. And I also think it's just conceptually strange that you have to make an appointment to get help with a company. Um, like I that's kind of what the car industry is, right? Like you can't just show up to the car dealer and like drop your car off and have it serviced in 5 minutes. You can make an appointment. You have to make an appointment to see a doctor. You have to make an appointment to see a dentist. You have to make an appointment to like get your hair cut sometimes, although you can do walk-ins there. It's just an unusual thing to have to make. Like I've got a problem with a product that you sold me, and I have to make an appointment now to see you about it. And I might not be able to get in till tomorrow. It's just kind of a weird thing. Now, it's probably because I mean, they're wildly successful, and no one's ever had this level of success in retail in terms of a single brand. Like, so they're in new territory.
Yeah.
But I just noticed that I don't like to be in the stores anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know when that flipped for me. I do feel like it was about a year ago or so. I don't know, just something flipped. I feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable being there.
Yeah. There's a
Anyway,
moment I had, maybe it was a couple of years ago when I forgot, yeah, I think it was maybe the last time I was trying to buy a phone a year and a half ago or a couple of years ago or whatever. And it was like they had the phones out on display, and someone came over and I'm like, I would like to buy this one. And she's like, we don't have these. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't even understand this. Like, you have these on display. It seems like you're trying to sell them, but then I can't buy anything. And then
yeah,
like the security guard comes over and is just like, everybody's store's closed. Everybody's got to go. And it's very abrupt. It was a very weird experience. And again, it was like, again, they're just so popular. Like they're
yeah.
out of the product that they're trying to sell all the time. And so yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's a trapping of success or whatever, but it's weird. It's just it was a weird retail experience today.
Yeah, I had a similar experience recently with them. When I went, we were looking for my wife wanted to get an iPhone case. We went over there and got a case, but that was the first time I noticed that their new thing where they're designing the packaging for other brands, or they're working with the other brands to unify. Like all the packaging is starting to become unified. It doesn't matter what brand you are. Um, everything has to look the same now. It's really interesting to see that. Yeah,
I can see why they want it. I mean,
I can see why they want it. Yeah, totally. It was a strange thing though, as a consumer for me, just speaking about myself, like to eliminate brand. I feel like it's eliminating the differentiation between brands, and that it actually made it harder for me because some brands I look to for, like, there's quality signals from a certain brand, like I'm picking names here, In Case or something I know makes good somethings, and so like I'm looking for their branding, and it's been minimized, and it looks like this other brand, and Apple's probably saying, well, everything we carry is great anyway, so you don't have to even think about that. But I kind of do wonder how those brands feel about that, about basically, in order to be selling at this particular place, they have to strip away what makes them themselves. It's an odd, unusual thing. I know that Walmart does some similar things with package dimensions and things like that. But this is taken to the extreme. It's just an interesting thing. It's an unusual thing, and it felt a little weird to me. But maybe it's just a new thing, and it won't be weird in 3 or 5 years. I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like it's a very similar experience digitally with the App Store. You know, like there's very little kind of customization. I mean, you can have a splash page on your own website where you try to advertise your iPhone app, but everybody ends up at the store, and everybody's stuff looks the same at the store. You know, you only get so much room above the fold before you click a read more. I mean, it's all like it all looks the same, and it's really hard to stand out. I mean, of course, then you want your your stars and your reviews, but it just feels like then everybody's gunning just for the stars and the reviews, because there's very little you can do in the store to kind of, I think, stand out. And then it shows too, like when you're trying to, as a developer, I mean, I think people feel it too, like you can't offer trials anymore of your software if you want it, because there is no concept of a trial in the App Store anymore. And I think as a consumer, it kind of sucks. I think developers are encouraged to sell their apps in the App Store, and now you can't get like a 30-day trial anymore of a Apple app, because that's not how the App Store works. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is.
Anyway.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
interesting challenges. I'm curious to see. I just saw they opened, I think maybe it was their first store with a new Johnny Ives inspired design. I think it's in I forget where it was. It's kind of curved now. They've got curved glass, and they're sort of changing the look. I don't know what it looks like on the floor, but I'm curious about what they do with retail over time, because I do feel like they've taken the existing model to their extreme, and now it's starting to fall apart in some ways, where you go there and you don't necessarily feel comfortable, and you go there and you feel like you're waiting for a train or something. It's like just some weird lobby of people gathering to wait for something. There's a lot of waiting there now.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're just sort of out of, they've sort of maximized what they can do given the current setup. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because they're a creative company, what they come up with to sort of fix that problem. If that is a problem, I don't know if it is or not. It feels like one to me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. They know a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
About this stuff. So
yeah. Cool. All right. You want to, I'll show some work.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some stuff, and I'll show some stuff next week.
All right. All right. I'll share my screen. All right. Can you see stuff?
Yes.
All right. So just to give you, this, but yeah, to give everybody else kind of a quick highlight. Oh, by the way, like, good evening.
How's it going?
My time, it's going great.
Yeah.
People, I think, really dig the naming convention we did here. Like, so that was really helpful. Like, so, in the morning, my time zone screwed up here, so in this demo account, so it doesn't make any sense. But in the morning it says good morning. In the afternoon, it switches to good afternoon. Past like 5 or 6 o'clock, it changes to good evening. It says waiting for you. People have really dug it, and it was a really good. It was a really good choice, I think, because like all of the stuff that I did for, say, marketing it from telling new people about it, from blogging about it, telling people over Twitter. We stuck it out there on Product Hunt. It was great to like have a kind of our own brand of this group inbox, right? I didn't have to just keep saying like, hey, we have a group inbox, like you've probably read about like a dozen times with some other product. It was very personal, and I was able to say like, good morning from Highrise. I mean, it was like a neat way of talking to people and then delivering an introduction to a new feature we had. So it was, I loved how it went. And people are excited about it. Yeah, I mean, I think there was like, I think we've heard from exactly one person who doesn't like it called good morning and just wants it called inbox. And that was their like first impression after like 2 seconds of using it. So I'm going to discount that feedback maybe, but everything has been very positive. We've been hearing from like someone just tweeted or sent an email in today, was like, I was thinking about coming back to you, and then I saw good morning, and I'm totally coming back to Highrise now. So that was good. It's been a good launch. It's been a good release of this feature.
Well, it's something you can rally around, people can talk about, and it's distinctive. And even if it's a similar feature conceptually, just giving something a name gives it something else.
Yeah.
It's similar to what we do with the work can wait stuff. It's like notification schedule. Who's excited about talking about a notification schedule? But talking about work can wait is like it's a hook. It's something you can rally around. It's also like kind of a movement and an idea. It's bigger, and so I like the good evening, good morning style angle on it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah, so it was good talking about that. I'm glad we arrived at that.
Cool.
All right, so deals. Deals is a thing that comes up a lot. Deals in Highrise look like this currently. So you click on deals. Here by default you see a selection. I don't know what it's like 5 or 10. You don't see all of them. You just see a subset, maybe the most recent ones. They're broken out into pending, won, and lost. And they show you how much money you're looking at 5 deals worth X. So there's a little bit of reporting ability here. We have these filters at the top. You can just kind of look at your pending deals. There's a concept of a category. So some people, can have their deals, if you're say client services and you're selling deals related to, you're trying to sell work related to UI design versus website design versus copywriting. You might do all 3, but now you can actually kind of see, your different categories, how they're doing. And then we've got some time selection here to help kind of do some reporting, very basic reporting. So and when you go into a deal, like there's this concept of the buttons, the pending, won, or lost, to switch kind of states of this thing right away. So people using deals stuff today, like one of the common asks that we get, and it's a very frequent one, is they want more stages, or they want a pipeline. And there's a lot of pipeline tools that very Trello board-esque, right? They they're just columns of data or columns of deals. And so what we keep hearing though, people want pipelines, but they don't maybe necessarily want a Trello board. I mean, that's just the language they use. But what we feel like we hear enough, or we feel, is basically they just want customization of that pending, won, or lost. They don't really, at their company, they don't really talk about deals that are pending and won. They talk about them more. There's usually actually 3 or 4 different versions of a pending deal. They start with hey, this is a new lead from our website. So, or prospects, leads. And then they go into some other categories, like we sent them a quote already. So it's like a stage.
Yep.
And there's more stages. So it's when we talk to them, their language is not pending. It's not even usually even won or lost. Sometimes it's won or lost, but that pending one has more stages. But I think even won and lost tend to have some more stages too. Anyway, so that's some of the background. So we want a quick win here. Like a lot of the things here, we don't want this thing to drag out into a very laborious project. We think we could do something here to kind of make some folks happy who are asking for customization. So I'm gonna just show you like a rough prototype. This is just mock-ups
Mm-hmm.
that we've done in InVision. I don't know if you've used InVision before, but it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of just a neat way of going through some screens. So I'll back up here. So um, basically here's the deal section, and now instead of just editing deal categories here on the right, you can edit deal categories today. In right here, copywriting, etc. We were thinking of introducing editing your deal stages.
Mm-hmm.
And you would go in here, edit your deal stages. So very much like categories, you would just create new stages.
Mm-hmm.
Call it opportunity, call it proposal, call it negotiation. This order would be the order that they appear, but I think we'll just end up doing dragging and dropping these things into the order that you want them in versus manually setting them here.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's kind of it. I mean, very basic, kind of like adding categories, but now you're adding stages.
And you could cross-reference by both. You could say, design projects in the proposal stage or something like that.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the name stage?
Did I even? Yeah. I mean, from our customers' vocabulary, I mean,
Yep.
it's something that I feel like, again, this is, V1. We really I haven't thought through much about this, but it does kind of come from, I believe, a lot of conversations with customers. They use that language stage. This is the stage this deal is in. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, and so then basically now it's basically just, now instead of pending or just won or just lost, now you have multiple of these deal categories or deal stages here. And that's pretty much it. Like, and then when you go into one of these things, the menu now isn't just one pending or lost. It's, you can click here with a drop down and choose which
Yep.
stage it's in and have it edited. Just, so it's a little extra step, but it's not that much of it's, a drop down and click to get it into the stage that you want it in. Anyway,
Yes,
that's V1. But yeah, that's what
I
we
think
got.
when we were exploring when we were thinking about doing a new version of Highrise a few years back, we explored stages. I forget what we called them. They may have been called stages on anything. So it had nothing to do with just the fact that it was a deal. It was just any person, contact, company, whatever it is, could have a stage, because they could be a prospect. You may not even have a deal set up. They're just a prospect, or it could be like a customer.
Right.
It could be you could have like a different kinds of customers. You could have like they're a 5-year plus customer. Like you could say it's a label or a tag. I don't know, but the stages did feel like stages of maturity or whatever, in the customer relationship or something. But we had this idea that would be more of a global thing, and not just something attached purely to deals.
Yeah.
Like a case could have stages, because it could be, could be open, it could be closed, it could be resolved, it could be pending, it could be on hold, it could be, there's all these different things you could have for a case too, etc. So that's why we decided to do it. But I think there's something really good about that. And it's a straightforward, simple approach. You let people make their own stages and attach those to whatever you want.
Yeah.
But deals is a good place to start.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying too, because it's like, we're talking about deals, but like we have people who, use Highrise to do sales, but they don't even use deals. Like they just use the flat out, contacts and tags.
Right.
And like they would love it if they could actually switch just a contact itself between being a prospect versus a lead versus this person has a quote.
Right. Yeah, and so you might want to think about, if you do make it to start out with just deals, maybe it does start here, but that it's not sort of programmatically attached to that section, that you could fairly easily expand it. Or you might think that maybe we just expand this, and that a stage is just an attribute of of an object or a thing or whatever. I forget what these are called in Highrise technically, but a person, a company, a deal, a case, they're all things. Let's just call them objects for a second. They're all objects or subjects or whatever the thing is. And they can all have a state. a stage state or a state or whatever you want to call it. And then you don't have to, you're not really making the deals feature better. You're making everything better. And then, hey, guess what? You can also have stages for deals too. So
Yeah,
you can kind of like level up a variety of different things at once.
that's true. Would you make the stages different though? I mean, so when you imagine the management interface of stages, would people get a different set of stages than deals? Or like would you just go ahead and like all stages apply to anybody? So you only get if you want to edit stages, you're gonna have these stages available whether you're in deals or whether you're in people.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'm certain that people will want to batch them differently at some point. That like they might talk about their deal stages differently. They might talk about a person stage or whatever. But I think at launch you could have a single batch, a single group, and they can edit the list, and that's that. What you could do is you could have a single. Go back to the stage interface where you make stages. Right. So what you could do here is you could say, so you can make a stage, right? And then there could be a pull down next to each stage. You could say applies to people only, people and deals, people, deals, and cases, or however you want to do that. But you could say like, I'm going to make this long list of stages. And then for each stage, you get to decide where that stage could apply. You know, because there might be like prospect might be something you want globally available to everybody. Certain deals might have certain kinds of stages that you only want to show up that should only show up in the deals section. You know, I don't know, just a thought, but you could probably get away with not doing that at first and just say, at the very least, we have stages now, and you can make as many as you want, and they show up everywhere. And then naturally people will say, well, I want to have like different groups of stages for different, and maybe you end up going towards the groups instead, or maybe you just say, for any stage, you can decide where it applies, and then you let them apply it in different places, and then it shows up in different places.
Right.
I think the flexibility of that might be worth. I don't even know what it would take to do that, obviously, but might be worth it. Thinking about that.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'll think about it.
Yep.
It
is certainly clearer if you just say this applies to deals. You can make the case like we've just improved deals on this dimension, and here's how and here's why. Like versus being a bit more abstract about it. Like now you can add stages to anything and anybody anywhere. There's less of a story associated with it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting because like a big impetus though for this is like reporting. People want to report on the stuff that's in these different stages, right? Like they want to know like, we've got these many prospects versus we've converted these many prospects into these many leads, and we've converted these many leads into these many people who set up meetings for the first time. And so we already have some of that ability baked into deals. And so you're right though. I mean, doing it on deals is like a much more, there's like you're saying, like a thorough story. Like, well, this also now gives you the ability to do the reporting on that. Like you want to, in a way. I don't know. Yeah, I'll consider that though.
Yeah, just a thought.
No, totally. Some of my resistance to doing stages is like from categories. Like you could get by with turning your categories into stages. So I've been resistant to it a little bit. Like it's just yet another container for things, for deals now. If you really wanted stages, you could go ahead and make your categories like, instead of copywriting, and you could, if you really cared about, UI design, you could create UI design prospects, UI design meetings. Like you could do it, and maybe it's just too much. Maybe it's too much of expecting people to kind of hack at this. But it's been part of my like pushback to even like deal with stages right now.
Yeah. I think either way, you're gonna. It's worth doing whatever it's worth adding these even just to deals, right?
Right.
It's not a step back. It's not a bad idea to just do that.
Yeah.
But maybe as you're building it, you can think of it applying in more places later, so you don't like box yourself in or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Cool. Well, I
But
think
yes,
people are going to dig that. if
yeah,
you
I
do
think so too.
that. Yep.
Man, all right. Yeah, that's probably. You should probably get back to work.
Oh yeah, it's 30 minutes. Okay, we're up. Cool. Thanks for putting up with my crazy schedule this week.
Yeah, sure.
I owe you
Hang on.
one.
Yeah. Let me get exit full screen.
I see you again.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I'll
Okay.
see you in the office next week. You gonna be in?
Yeah, plan on it.
Cool. I'll see you then.
All right, dude. Have a great weekend. Have some
Later.
good rest.
You too. Do the same.
Later.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.